Morning.
Good
Hi.
morning, Boker Tov. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Baruch Hashem.
Good. I don't see our fearless leader yet. I don't know what's going to do with Shabbos, what time he's davening there. No, but okay.
It's 6 o'clock there right now.
Yeah, so too.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what happens.
We'll
Hopefully.
wait and see.
Yeah.
Okay.
I get an Erev Shabbos.
Good Erev Shabbos to you.
Good Erev Shabbos, Ernie. You're ready in Ranana? You're going to a late minyan today?
The minyan, yes, it's 7:20.
Yeah. Okay.
You have time to go to the mikveh.
It was so hot today. Wow. It's a chamsin here.
Okay.
Okay, we're on Tzadik Ches Amud Beis, Mishnah. Asher al Sapara, V'shilcha lo b'yad benot, means when does the trigger of the moment of She'ilah begin? It was sent to him by the Mashil, by his son, by a son. Or b'yad avdo, or b'yad shlucho, or b'yad b'no, b'yad avdo, b'yad shlucho shel shoel. It means the shoel sent his son or his eved or shliach to pick it up. Umesa potter. It means the period of She'ilah where he's responsible doesn't start legally until it actually gets into the physical possession of the shoel. Shoel, unless if the shoel says Shalcha li biyadni, he gives permission. And he says, when you loan me the para, send it to me via my son, or biyad avdi, biyad shluchi, or biyad bincha, biyad avdecha, biyad shluchacha, or you can send me a shaliach. O sha'amr lo amashil, Or the mashal says, or I'm going to send it via my son, biad avdi, biad shluchi, or biad bincha, biad avdicha, I'll give it to your shaliach. And the Amar lo Ashol shalach, and the Shol agrees. The shilchu mesa chayiv, on the way to the shoel, the animal dies, the Shol is chayiv. Because the Shol accepted the responsibility once he said shlach. V'chein b'shar shemachzira, all the same dinim apply when he returns it. The question is, says the Gemara, that if the Shol was maskim, biad avdo chayiv. That the Gemara understands avdo to be an Eved Knani. Now, an Eved Knani is like the yad of the master himself, right? Yad Eved ki yad Rabbo. From a halachic point of view, if somebody puts an item into the hands of an Eved Knani, immediately mashakona Eved Kana Rabbo. So it should be viewed, even if the Shoel said shlachli, it should be, from a legal standpoint, still in the mashil's possession until he actually returns it over to him. You know what? When the Mishnah here says it was sent through an Eved, it was not an Eved Kanani, it was an Eved Ivri, which is a separate human being. An Eved Ivri is not owned by the owner. The Lakan Legufe. The owner doesn't have a kinyan aguf and an Eved Ivri. He's like any worker that he hires. So it's not considered Yad Rabbo. Rav explains our Mishnah, Afilu Temu Kan Bebeknani, that the responsibility is once, even though he gives it to his Eved Knani, once the Shoel said, Shlachli, Nasa Ka'omer lay, Ikisha b'makel v'hisavu. If the Shoel had said to the one who was going to loan it to him, hit it with a stick and let it come to me on its own. So the moment it leaves the Rishus of the Mashil, it's already in the Rishus of the Shoel. So here too, once the Shoel agrees that it should be sent, it doesn't make a difference what the halachic status of the Eved is, whether it's Kiyad Rab or not. It's because it's like the case of Ikisha, like send it over by hitting it with a stick. Based on that Meisvei, we ask a kasha from a Baraisa. Hashola par v'shalchol biad no biad shlucho. Somebody was borrowing a cow, and it was sent by way of the son of the mashil or biad shluach. If the shol is maskim chayiv, but biad avdo potur. That means until it actually gets into the show's hands, he would be potter. So that works out. Bishul Shmuel, our Masnisan, is talking about an Eved Ivri. That's why the Mishalech is still chayiv, even if he sends it via Avdo. And then the Baraisa, which says your potter, is Be'eved Kanani, because it's considered Yad Rabbo, and it remains in the Mashil's possession until he actually delivers it. But Elul Rav Kasha. But this statement of Rav, where he says that the nafkamina is because of Hikisha b'makel, we see that it doesn't relate to that. Arlach Rav lo temenasika omerlei. It's not viewed as if he said, go and hit it with a stick. Elatema ba'omerlei Hikisha b'makel v'isavo. That if the shol says to the marshal, hit it with the sticks, and it comes, so then, even if he said with the para, he doesn't, the achrayus is immediately on the shol. Diitmar. Mi shamar shilani parasa. somebody says to his neighbor, loan me your cow. V'armalo biyad mi. And the shoal says, okay, who should I send it with? V'armalo, I don't need a shaliach. Hikisha b'makel v'sovel. Let it just hit it, and it'll come. Amar Nachman Amar Rabbi Ravu Amar Rav. Kivin shiyatzif meshus mashal u'meisa chayav. The moment it left the possession of the mashil, the shoal is chayav. Because he was makabel achrayus on it from that minute. Name a misayele. Let us say that the following Baraisa supports this. Baraisa says, "Zishilani parascha, loan me your para. V'amar lo biyad mi." And the mashil says, "Who should I send it with?" V'amar lo ikisha b'bakel v'yisava. Even shiyatzis b'shus mashil u'meisa chayav. So that Baraisa seems to support what we've been saying. But Rav Ashi says, no, that Baraisa Hachma Eskinon is a unique case. If you go on Shaisa Chatzer Shel HaShoel, Lifnim Chatzer Shel Mashil. You have a courtyard and then an inner courtyard. And the inner courtyard within the outer courtyard, it belongs to the Shoel. And the mashil is on the outside of the courtyard. There's no place else for it to go. When the mashil hits it with a stick, it's only when it goes inside the chutzner of the shoel, there's only one place to go. That's why the shoel is chayiv there. But says Rav Ashi, if he sent it by an eved, it would not. So the Gemara says, if the courtyard's on the inside, then what? It's a vaday thing. What's the chiddush of the chachamim? There are corners in the courtyard. Maybe it wasn't Sameches Das that it's going to get to me right away. The cow is going to wander not straight into his courtyard, but into a corner. Once he said, hit it with a stick and let it come, he's mekabel the achrayus right away. Hashoel kardo mechavero. You borrowed a pickaxe. In Bakabo Edim, in Bakabo, if you started chopping wood with it, but only until then, kano. Then the borrower is koine it to be responsible. Lo Bakabo lo, as long as he hasn't started working with it, he doesn't have responsibility. Now, l'chora lamai, ilema, regarding oinsin, because normally a shoel is chayiv ba'oinsin. Maishna pora, the mishash she'ela. Why would it be different? By a para, we didn't say that the responsibility only starts when he starts using the para. We say the para is his the moment it gets into his possession. Ella chazara. We're dealing with the return of the item to the owner. That in Bakabo, meaning when can you withdraw on the agreement to loan it? If you already started working with it, the one who lent the pickaxe can't go back on his agreement to loan it in the first place. I don't want to loan it to you. But if he hadn't started working with the pickaxe, the mashil can go back and take it back. And this is in contradiction to Ravami. To Omar Mashal Kardim Shel Hegdish. The one who's lending it has a pickaxe that belongs to Hegdish. He loans it. Mal. How? Lefi toivus hanoshabo. A person would pay somebody to the opportunity to borrow a pickaxe. There's some hana, whether it's financial or even indirect hana, because he's thought of as a good guy, the fact that he's lending it. And remember, me'ila, if you benefited $1,000 worth, you also have to pay a 20% fine. So how do we calculate the value that he has to pay? It's the toivus hana. What would a person pay to borrow a pickaxe? Which seems to imply that the borrower has already accepted responsibility even before he started working with it, the moment he gave it over. Right? The chavero, the one who borrowed the pickaxe, mutter lebakabo lechatchila. Now, the one who borrowed this pickaxe of Hegdish can work with it. Once the guy who lent it to him, he's chayv mila, the item belongs to the one who lent it. The ilo kano, because if he hadn't acquired it, am I more? Why do we say it's chayv mila? So, am I more? I mean, he used it. No, we're asking really, why should the other guy be able to use it? Let him give it back and not be koine it, and there'd be no me'ila. So clearly, Ravami holds that he acquires it right away when he gets it, even before he uses it, where he doesn't have to return it. He can use it right away. And Upliga, Rav Huna also argues with Rabbi Loser. Rabbi Loser. Now, a consumer goes into a store to buy something. When does he acquire it? When he does Mashicha on it, he actually pulls it to him. Then it's koined. And the mekach is nigmar. Kach tiknu Mashicha b'shoimrim. So too Chazal made a takana that once the shomer is moishech the item to him, then he's chayv another chiyuvim. You see, Rav Lozer doesn't hold like Rav Huna, who says only when you start working with it. Once you did Mashicha. And we paskin that way. Before Mashicha, the maskir or the mashal can go back on the decision to rent it or to lease it. And the soicher or the shom or the shul is not mischayev. B'gneva v'veid until they do Mashicha. That's how the Rabbah paskins. And there's a baraisa to say the same thing. Kashem shetiknu Mashicha b'lekuchos kach tiknu Mashicha b'shoyim. Ukashem shekarka. This is just another halacha that's learned in that baraisa. Just like karka's niknes b'kesef v'shtar chazaka, land is acquired through three techniques: money, shtar, or actually improving the field. Kach schiris, somebody renting an object, nikne b'kesef v'shtar chazaka. So the Gemara goes, what do you mean? Schiris my avidite. What all you through in here? And what kind of chazaka is there by schiris? Amrav Chizda, b'schiris karka. We're not talking about renting a pickaxe or an animal. We're talking about you renting a piece of land. So there, schiris, leasing, not buying a piece of land, but just leasing it, the kinyan is done the same way as buying it. Okay. Amar Shmuel. Haiman de gozel chavitza de chamri mechaver. there was a dough made out of dates, and the person stole it. The ispe chamishim tam. This dough has 50 dates in it. When they're pressed together and they're sold for 49. But if it was sold date by date, that's what we mean, that it's worth 50, because if you sold 50 independently, you get 50, but if you sold it as one piece, you get 49. So Mehediot, we started off by saying Haiman de Gozel, someone who stole it. So if it was stolen from a regular person, not Hegdish, you pay the amount that you would get if you sold the whole thing. 49. If you stole it from Hegdish, Mishalim Chamishi, you pay the full 50 that you would get by selling it date by date. The Chum and an extra 20%. Another 10. You pay 60. Masha'en came to Masik. Someone who damaged this thing, not stole it, but damaged it, and then the Mazik has to pay. He didn't eat it, but he destroyed it somehow. The law Mishalim Chumsha, but you pay the whole. Karen would pay like Hegdish paid 50 without the 20%. Domer it's from a pasuk. The ish kiyochal kodesh bishkaka. A person ate something that belongs to Hegdish. So you're moel, right? The Yosef Kamishi so Allah. You pay an extra 20%. But you notice it's kiyochal, prat lamazik, where you don't pay the extra 20%. Now, if somebody comes along and eats it, he would pay the extra 20%. But no, that's only Hegdish. Prat lamazik, a mazik wouldn't pay the extra 20%. Maskal Rabbi Barabaya. The initial case was if you stole from a regular person, you'd only pay 49. Why are you paying 49? Name a lay. Listen, the one who was stolen from should say to the Ganef, what do you mean? If I had it, I could sell it one by one and get 50. Why are you paying me 49? And L'chora, the Gemara thinks that's a good time. So I'm Rav Yuna, braid Rav Yoshia, braid Rav Yoshua. Shamin they saw, but Oisa saw that's not. Let's say there's a big piece of land. And there's an area of land, a base saw, which is 5,000 square amas. And you have to calculate the value that was damaged. So you don't say, oh, the damage was done, let's say a dollar per square amma. No. You look at it, let's say it's part of a field of 50,000 square amas. You look at the value of the 50,000 square amma piece, and now what is it worth with 5,000 square amas damage? And so it's going to be different than looking at the small piece. So that's how you are marich nezek. Same thing here. We don't look at it the way it was looked at b'shleimus. So the name of the server Shmuel. Din Hedyot Lav Kedin Gavua Dami. So came out that Shmuel held that if you stole from a Hedyot, you'd pay 49. But from Egdish, you'd pay 50. So what? Shmuel doesn't hold that the din of a hedyot is the same as hegdish? Vatnan. Notol even by koire me hegdish. You stole some building material from hegdish, a stone or a beam. Just by picking it up and taking it, lo mal, there's no milah. Nasal lechavera. You gave it to your friend, who mal? The guy who takes it from you, excuse me, once you give it to a friend, so again, that's that toivus hana. He has hana that he gave it. It's a toiva that he gave it, so he's mal once he gave it. The guy who took it, chaver lo mal. Or the guy who took the stone or the beam, bano b'sach beso, used the building material in his house, he's still lo mal ad sheyider tachtea b'shava pruta, until he actually dwelled in that place under the beam, at least a shava pruta worth. Let's say you rent a house for $100 a day, so 5 minutes would be calculated as a shava pruta. Once he's there for 5 minutes, chayiv. The Yosef of Avol Kamed Rav Yochanan, the Yosef of Kamed Shmei Shmuel. And here's where we get the kasha on previous Shmuel, because this was said the name of Shmuel. Zoso Meres, Hadar b'chotz chavero, shaloi midaito tzorch laloschar. My friend has a house 2 doors down from me. And I know he's in China for the next 3 months. And I have some relatives coming, and I put them in that house without the knowledge of the balabais. So you would think, zenene, the zelo choser, the owner of the house is not losing anything by the fact that somebody's in there. In fact, there's svaras to say he's happier because a dwelled house is safer than an undwelled house where things can happen there. So it's not just zenene v'zech lo choser. You could even say zenene v'zenene, but let's say straight zenene v'zech lo choser. That's koifen al midas dom. The people in Stone didn't do those kind of things, but that's viewed as you're in Russia. Now, based on the Baraisa, we learn, it looks like you have to pay rent. You can't just go in there without him knowing. Just like the case of if you dwelled under a beam of Egdish, you have to, you benefited from Egdish something. So the same thing, the Gemara wants to say, even though your friend's house is not regularly rented out, and the Bailim don't know, he doesn't lose, you have to pay him something. And it seems like Shmuel does learn din hedyot from a din hegdish. So the Gemara rejects that. Hadar be Shmuel me'ahi. Shmuel went back on this concept that you learn a din regarding hedyot from hegdish. Freit the Gemara, who said that he went back on that? Maybe he went back on the other din. Lo. It's clear to us, me'ahi hadar. Why? Kidarav. Yomarav. Noitel. Hegdish shalom midas. You took something from Hegdish without the treasurer of Hegdish knowing about it. It's kehedyot. It's like a hedyot who bought something midas dami. And that's the explanation why a stone or a beam, the din of Hegdish is not like din hedyot. Now, different prices, we talked about paying 50, paying 49, Amarava. You have these schleppers that were hired to carry things. They were carrying a barrel of wine to the storekeeper. And on market day, Monday and Thursday, where there's a lot of people, there's more koinim. So supply and demand allow that you can sell the barrel for 5. A regular day, you had to discount the price because there weren't as many koinim. You would sell it for 4. If these schleppers returned it on Yom HaShuka and they broke the barrel, that it didn't make a difference. What they returned it would always be 5. That's the maximum they could get. Only if there's not a lot of wine in the marketplace, because he would lose. There's always wine to buy for 4, so they only have to pay a regular barrel worth. And when they pay back, even when they pay back the 5, because when there is no wine, they deduct what they have to pay, the fact that there's schar tircha, and they have to seal the barrel. There's a certain cost to do that. Because the Chenveni himself has to open it up, and the beer's nice. That's like the faucet. You stick a faucet in the beer at the bottom, like with a something sharp, so you can drain the wine from it. So that's the Gemara is bringing this because it's similar to the case where that if somebody stole something whole versus something piece by piece, there's a different price. Okay, we made it to Daf Kuf. Baruch Hashem.
You prepared for your big drosha in the
shtibel.
In the shtibel. Bivrit. Okay.
I'm gonna try.
Okay. I gave a drasha in Ivrit over there also when we gave the Sefer Torah. When we gave the Sefer Torah, that we took to Ma'arat HaMachpelah. My mother couldn't get to Ma'arat HaMachpelah, so we made a Suda
at the shtibel.
At the shtibel.
Oh, and nice.
A lot of people there, and basically I gave the whole thing in Hebrew. So
Baruch Hashem.
Yeah.
Our dinner tonight, we're having dinner tonight at the shtibel in the upstairs, and lunch tomorrow in the shtibel. They're using it as the place for the meals, and then they're having a kiddush.
All I know is that I never got a ticket. So if I would have got a ticket, I would have been there. Okay, get ready for your drosha.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're gonna learn 9:30 Motzei Shabbos.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
Shabbos,
everybody.
Shabbos. Good Chodesh. Chodesh Tov. Bye.
Guten Chodesh.
A lichtigen Chodesh. Bye.